With just one roll, the suspended animal carcass was instantly reduced to half. Jack, wearing a puzzled expression, peered down to see a jaguar feasting on the portion it had snatched away. Jack contemplated capturing the jaguar, but unfortunately, his rifle had fallen to the ground again, leaving him in a dilemma. He knew he couldn't subdue the jaguar without a weapon. In the midst of Jack's thoughts, he quickly pulled out a tranquilizer dart and forcefully injected it into the jaguar's body. But just as Jack stood up, the wooden plank suddenly shattered, causing both him and the jaguar to plummet down. Before Jack could recover, the jaguar was slowly advancing towards him once again. In this dire moment, Jack immediately drew his knife, ready to fight to the death with the jaguar. As Jack panicked, the jaguar's vision gradually blurred, and it collapsed to the ground. It seemed the tranquilizer had taken effect. Finally relieving Jack, he quickly loaded the jaguar and the prey he had captured into a large truck and headed to the docks, preparing to sell them at the zoo. However, by chance, today a heavy criminal being escorted by the police happened to be on the same boat as Jack, and this individual was extremely dangerous. At the moment the ship started moving, the heavy criminal was also locked behind iron bars by the police officers. They thought this would ensure safety, but to their surprise, when night fell, the criminal suddenly had a seizure and collapsed on the floor, limbs convulsing uncontrollably. Two officers rushed to administer medication by pouring it into the criminal's mouth to provide first aid. At that moment, the criminal viciously bit down on one of the officers' fingers, catching them completely off guard. By the time a large number of officers arrived, the criminal had already escaped, releasing the monkeys locked in the cages. The monkeys were now leaping and jumping around the galley, driving the chef to grab a cleaver and wildly hack at them. Swarms of monkeys instantly descended upon the man, rendering him completely helpless. Soon, he was torn to the ground, lifeless. However, what was even more terrifying was when Jack arrived at the animal confinement area of the ship, only to find that all the iron cages had been opened, and the most ferocious jaguar was nowhere to be found. This immediately plunged everyone on board into a state of imminent danger. After a barrage of gunfire, the criminal immediately pulled out the tranquilizer dart embedded in his shoulder, loaded his gun with bullets, and continued to cautiously search the area. But Jack was just a hunter after all. He couldn't match the skilled fugitive. After a few exchanges, he was directly knocked to the ground by the criminal, who was about to finish him off. In this dire moment, Jack grabbed onto the criminal's hand tightly and managed to land a lucky punch, allowing him to escape. The two continued to engage in combat, but ultimately Jack was overwhelmed and knocked down by several punches. Seeing that Jack was completely drained of energy, it was fortunate that the criminal, now dazed from two tranquilizer darts, began to lose consciousness. Jack swiftly maneuvered the criminal into a trap he had set, suspending him upside down. With the criminal immobilized and unable to move, Jack took the opportunity to open the cage containing the jaguar, then walked away on his own, leaving the criminal to his fate.